Hello.
Hello.
Catalyst. When having a catalytic converter was something to shout about, Vauxhall made the Mk.3 Astra. I have very fond memories of these actually. What a lovely, bubbly, rounded shape they were back in the 90s. When in the 90s, everything just went all smooth and with lovely little shapy bits because suddenly they discovered that things didn't have to be squared off. And with that, the Mk.3 Astra, which is this, happens to be a really quite a pretty car actually. Mk.3 Astra, CD mind. These days these rear lamps would be considered far too small and the boot button would have to be somewhat more integrated into the shape of the tailgate. And there doesn't really appear to be anywhere for the number plate to go. Obviously it's there, but it's like they designed it and forgot that cars need a registration plate. However, this here swage line, the way it goes all the way to the front of the car and meets up with the indicator there from being wrapped around all the way around the boot there is a nice piece of design. It's considerate. It's not over the top. Just like the Mk.2 Astra, it is a bit full of lines everywhere, but this one, it just has a bit more purpose to it somehow. I've always thought that these are similar in design to the Rover R3, and I don't know why, because they don't look like each other. Now, just imagine this. If you could cross the Mk.3 Cavalier and the Nissan Micra K11, this is what it would look like. It's got the corporate face, but some of the Micra's curvy bits as well. And that's not relevant to this video, so I'm not going to put it in. Being the CD model, it has mud flaps and a badge that says CD. You have to be careful with these mirrors though, because they will break off if you hit them. The Mk.3 Astra was a really good seller. In fact, it was the best selling car in the UK. Unless it was a different car, then it wasn't. If you could go back to 1993, this could be a Panda car, but it's the wrong trim level, so it couldn't. We see something rather unusual for a Vauxhall. Look at that! Wow! Wood cappings in a Vauxhall Astra. I was definitely not expecting that. Do I like it though? Yeah, I do. I like wood bits. I don't care if they're real or fake, I just like them. If you couldn't see the rest of the car, you would know instantly that this is from the 1990s due to its blueness all over. You don't get much more blue than this, do you? I wonder if Clarkson like this because it's got that double denim look about it all over. Oh. What a solid sounding door. And that's not a bad pull action. I'm going to do that again. That's good. What does it sound like from the outside? Yes, solid. Well, do you remember that advert where there was somebody going on about this door shut sounds like it's on a Golf, and then this other chap said, why not just buy a Golf? I think it was for a Golf. I think it was a Golf advert. Well, I reckon that the Volkswagen Golf copied that door shut sound. Yeah, I do. Later models with the V grille weren't quite as well built, I believe. I've just been told that now. And I reckon that's quite possibly because the Mk.3 Astra was at the time a new car when this came out, and they were still trying to impress you. They were trying to get you away from those lovely Ford Escorts. I'm going to try and say lovely Ford Escorts without smiling. No, I can't do it. Being as this is the CD model, in other words the posh model, has fog lamps and alloy wheels. Not big alloy wheels, they're only 14 inch actually, but again this came from a time where people weren't obsessed with massive wheels. Well, I wonder if the back door sounds as good to close as well. No, but it's still okay. Actually, that rear door has the same sound as a modern Vauxhall, whereas the front has the same sound as an old one. I'm getting distracted here and I should be telling you about the interior of this car. Now we've seen how blue it is, and it has electric windows and electric mirrors and the usual... Oh, that's a... Sounds like I've got a question wrong. It has little holes to put things in, but nothing... Oh, is that the right size for my mobile? Yes, it is. The seats are reasonably comfortable and hard wearing, and the dash is made of something quite good. Yes. There's nothing overly tactile about any of the switchgear. It's just typical of the 90s. But we have 3 interior lights and a windy sunroof. Plus a T-shelf without a rubber mat on there. It needs a rubber mat. Why didn't they put a rubber mat on there? Rear legroom. Good. It feels quite low down, but there's plenty of room in here. So that's exciting. Boot. Big. Engine. Present. Underneath the bonnet is a 1.6 single cam engine, and it's got ABS as well. That's a novelty. How many brake horsepower does this car have?
I think it's in the region of about 90.
90?
It could be a bit more with it being injection.
That should be quite rapid. Let me introduce you to a man called Allegro. His surname is Man. Now, this is your car, isn't it, Allegro? Yes. Yeah, it is. And we normally associate Allegro with Allegro Man products such as Allegros, but on this occasion he has himself a Vauxhall Astra Mk.3 automatic with 75 brake horsepower, not 90.
I got this off some friends of mine who have 7 Allegros. This was sort of a bit of a second everyday car that they had. They've owned it 10 years.
It's quite nice, isn't it?
Yep. This is the CD trim level, and yeah, it's got a lot of extras. Wood, as Paul's already pointed out, velour seats, leather steering wheel, electric front windows, electric mirrors. Yeah, it's got a lot of extras, and it really is very comfortable.
Very smooth, very docile feeling actually. It's a bit like petting a Labrador.
And you've just proved the kick down works.
The kick down, yeah. Quite a throaty sounding exhaust. Yeah, that's not too bad. It feels a bit like a more modern car than it actually is. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't drive like an old car. Well, it's 30 years old, isn't it?
Yeah.
It doesn't really feel like it. It looks like it, but...
Well, it's got power steering.
It has. The assisted steering isn't overly assisted either. And because the throttle response isn't as such, you don't find yourself just shooting off into the back of that van without first wanting to do so.
No.
Well, I tell you what, I mean, I think it was quite an advancement from the Mk.2 Astra, which does, when I drove that one, it did feel a much older car than what this one is.
Yeah.
So they did make quite an effort. But as far as I'm concerned, they didn't really make much more effort after this one, because the Mk.4 Astra was lacking in anything really interesting, and then the Mk.5 just looked like it was going to be really good, but turned out not to be.
Yeah.
So I think, oddly enough, this, if you wanted to have an Astra, this is the age to have one out. It was really modern at the time, and it doesn't look massively dated now. And that's, you still see quite a few of these about, so it doesn't really stand out as like a modern classic as much as something like a Rover might do. Even though they were clearly copying Rover with this. Don't admit it, well,
Yes.
no, we want to be like Rover. Actually, they just wanted to be a bit more like their high-end models, really. For me, it's not a car to get overly excited by, but it's a perfectly pleasant car, and it's what Vauxhall did quite well. They did it better than what Ford did, that's for sure. It's probably worthwhile now mentioning that this car is indeed for sale. What is it? 38,000 miles.
38,000 miles. I'm the third owner. Before the person before me had it, it had only had one owner. The gentleman that I got it off had had it 10 years.
Which would explain why it drives like a new car. Paperwork, is that relevant?
Yes.
How relevant?
Very relevant.
Yeah?
No expense has been spared on this car over the last few years. I can't get them all out because it's far too windy, but basically in here, in there is, it's had head gasket, cam belt, water pump, it's had a catalytic converter, we've just put a new back box on it, they had the alloy wheels refurbished, the tyres were renewed just before COVID, and with it being a second car it hasn't done a massive amount of miles. It's got more or less new tyres on it, and it's such low mileage, it's a really well kept thing.
So in conclusion then, this Astra will be going on sale tonight on eBay. So if you want to feel like you're in the 90s whilst the 90s were still happening, this would be a good car because it does drive like it still is the 90s, if you get what I mean.